that really threw us into a tizzy then, because now, man, we wheeling and dealing. We got this happening, we got that, we got the road thing happening. You're spending money here, you got all these people you're taking care of. I mean, it was a circus. I mean, it was a real circus.
Have you ever wondered why members of the iconic band Parliament-Funkadelic wanted George Clinton gone? Apparently, there was a lot of animosity brewing there, fueled mostly by the fact that the other members of the group didn't like George's leadership style, especially how he underpaid them.
So talented, and they had huge records as well, and get paid.
The funny thing is that this was the same person that sued a number of entities for $100 million over profiting off of his talent.
Filed a $100 million lawsuit against his former business partner, Armin Baladian, and several music companies, claiming they wrongfully acquired the rights to his music catalog.
Is that not hypocrisy? Could it be why the other Parliament-Funkadelic members wanted him gone, especially since he also controlled their creative decisions and got many of them addicted to drugs?
Experiments with drugs, very much like mine, psychedelic drugs. I kind of influenced a lot of what he did and how he heard music, how he heard sounds.
It's really a lot to unpack. Let's get into it. Parliament started as a singing group called the Parliaments.
We were too black for white folks and too white for black folks. But the audience that we did have stuck with us, period. And every year there would be more and more at the colleges.
It was a doo-wop group from Plainfield, New Jersey. The group formed in the late 1950s. George Clinton was the leader and manager. The other members were Ray Davis, Fuzzy Haskins, Calvin Simon, and Grady Thomas. They practiced in a barbershop where Clinton worked. They loved to sing and perform. They dreamed of becoming famous one day.
The doo-wop scene was like a competitive type of thing. You know, who had the best do, who had the prettiest suit on, and who did the funkiest steps.
In 1967, they had a hit song called I Wanna Testify. The song became popular, and Clinton saw a chance to grow the group. He put together a band to perform live. Billy Nelson played bass, and his friend Eddie Hazel played guitar. They added Tall Ross on guitar, Tiki Fullwood on drums, and Mickey Atkins on the organ. This new group helped make their music even better. Their live shows became more exciting with instruments. Fans started noticing them more.
We was headliners over top of the OJs, the Impressions, a whole lot of big stars, and they was all wondering how do we become the headliners of the show.
There was a problem with their record company, Revelet. Clinton lost the rights to the name The Parliaments for a short time. This meant they could not use that name to release music. To keep making music, he started a new band called Funkadelic. The same musicians played in both groups, but they were marketed differently. Funkadelic had a funk rock sound. Later, in 1970, Clinton brought back Parliament with the same members. Now, he was running two groups at the same time. They both played funk music, but in different ways. Parliament focused more on a polished, soulful sound, while Funkadelic had a raw, psychedelic edge. Parliament and Funkadelic became very popular in the 1970s. They made famous albums like Maggot Brain and One Nation Under a Groove.
Can I get it on my good God?
Their music was exciting, and fans loved their wild performances. Clinton had a big vision for the band. He wanted them to be different from other groups. He used crazy costumes, space themes, and strong beats. His ideas made Parliament stand out from other funk bands. People loved their funky grooves and colorful shows.
It really threw us into a tizzy then, because now, man, we wheeling and dealing. We got this happening, we got that, we got the road thing happening. You're spending money here, you got all these people you're taking care of. I mean, it was a circus. I mean, it was a real circus.
As time passed, problems started inside the band. Some members felt that Clinton was not paying them fairly. They thought he was keeping most of the money for himself. Even though the band was making hit albums and selling out concerts, many musicians were not getting much money. This made them angry and led to arguments. Some members left the band because they felt cheated. They wanted to be paid for their hard work, but they believed Clinton controlled the money. Some even took legal action to get what they felt they deserved.
Eventually, it just choked us. It choked us. I mean, it was sad.
Another issue was Clinton's control over the music. He was very creative, but he also made all the big decisions. Some band members wanted to have more freedom to create. They felt like their ideas did not matter. Clinton's strong leadership helped the band succeed, but it also made some members unhappy. They wanted more say in their music and careers. Some musicians felt that Clinton took credit for their ideas and did not share the success fairly. This created tension between him and the rest of the group. Despite the problems, Clinton kept pushing forward. He added new musicians and singers to replace the ones who left. Parliament and Funkadelic continued making music and touring. Clinton had a gift for keeping the band alive even when people left. He found new talent and kept the music fresh. His ability to adapt helped Parliament stay relevant in the music industry. However, the financial problems never fully went away. Some former members continued to speak out about not getting fair pay. They said Clinton took too much control over the band's earnings. The fights over money lasted for years. Some musicians struggled financially even though they were part of a famous band. Many of them felt betrayed.
I think his early experiments with drugs, very much like mine, psychedelic drugs, I kind of influenced a lot of what he did and how he heard music, how he heard sounds.
George later faced a lawsuit from the estate of Bernie Worrell. Worrell was a keyboard player in the band. His widow is suing Clinton over unpaid money and also claiming that he gave drugs to band members instead of paying them. She said they made a deal in 1976 about sharing royalties, but Clinton did not keep his promise. The lawsuit claims that Clinton kept most of the money from music sales and live shows while giving band members drugs instead of their fair share. The estate is asking for money in damages, but they have not said how much. The lawsuit says Clinton had a history of breaking promises and not following contracts. She said he controlled his bandmates with drugs and false promises. According to her, Clinton gave drugs freely and made it easy for the band members to become addicted. Some band members later struggled with drug problems. They needed help to stop using drugs, but some never recovered. Some even lost their lives because of addiction. A documentary called Tear the Roof Off, The Untold Story of Parliament-Funkadelic, also talked about drug use in the band. Some members said that Clinton gave them drugs and then took money from their paychecks to cover the cost. One band member, Grady Thomas, said Clinton would go around offering drugs to people. He said Clinton had a long fingernail, which he used to give out drugs. The widow said this was how Clinton kept control over his band. He made them depend on him instead of giving them the money they earned. The lawsuit paints a dark picture of Clinton's leadership in the band. It claims that his drug culture ruined lives. Many band members had to fight addiction for years. Some could not escape it. Worrell's widow believes Clinton must take responsibility for what happened. Meanwhile, Clinton is still performing. He is on his last tour with Parliament-Funkadelic before he retires. But that's not the only time George has been taken to court.
He was a pioneer of funk music, but he says others profited from his talent. And now legendary musician George Clinton wants his fair share.
George won a defamation lawsuit in Los Angeles. The case started because of Clinton's 2014 autobiography, Brothus B, Yo Like George, Ain't That Funkin' Kinda Hard on You? A memoir. In the book, Clinton wrote about music producer Armin Baladian. Baladian owned a record label and worked with many artists. He did not like what Clinton said about him in the book. He claimed Clinton wrote that he had stolen songs, faked documents, and changed agreements without permission.
Copyright infringement of Mr. Clinton's music based on fraud. We're here to right this historic wrong.
Baladian said these statements hurt his reputation, so he sued Clinton for defamation. Defamation means saying or writing something false that harms another person's reputation. The law says that to prove defamation, a person must show that the statement was false, harmful, and made with negligence or malice. A trial was held in Los Angeles for 2 weeks. A jury listened to both sides and decided that Clinton did not defame Baladian. The jury said that 20 statements in the book were either true or just Clinton's opinion. Since opinions are not considered defamation, Clinton won the case. George's lawyer, Jordan Sussman, said the verdict was a victory for free speech. He said people should be allowed to tell their life stories, even if others do not like what they say. He added that Clinton had no reason to doubt that what he wrote was true. After the trial, Clinton was happy with the result. He said he would continue to speak the truth and fight for songwriters who lost their rights to their own music. He believed that music companies had taken advantage of many artists, and he wanted to expose this unfairness. Baladian and Clinton had fought in court before. Clinton had accused Baladian of taking ownership of some of his biggest songs, including Atomic Dog. One Nation Under a Groove, and We Want the Funk, Tear the Roof Off. Clinton said Baladian altered contracts and did not pay artists what they deserved. In 1994, a judge ruled that Clinton had not signed a document that Baladian used to claim rights over certain songs. In 1995, Baladian admitted that he had changed the wording of a contract from 1982 and added more songs to it. He said he had the right to do so because of a power of attorney, but Clinton and his team did not agree. In the recent trial, Clinton's lawyers showed the jury old court decisions and statements from Baladian's former employees. These employees said Baladian had changed agreements after artists had already signed them. This evidence helped Clinton's case. In the end, the jury sided with Clinton, and he won the lawsuit.
George Clinton is like the other side in some ways of the MC5 coin, in that he took Detroit and spun it.
Parliament-Funkadelic changed a lot over time, with many musicians joining and leaving. Some of the most important members joined in the early 1970s. Bernie Worrell, a talented keyboard player, joined in 1970. Gary Scheider, a skilled singer and guitarist, came in 1971. In 1972, Bootsy Collins, a great bassist from James Brown's band, also joined. Many other singers and musicians played with the group in the years that followed. George started Parliament again in 1974. He signed a deal with Casablanca Records. He added a horn section called the Horny Horns, which also came from James Brown's band. Parliament's music was smoother and had strong vocal and horn arrangements. At the same time, Funkadelic focused more on guitar-based funk rock. Even though they were separate, both bands played together as Parliament-Funkadelic, or P-Funk. Clinton's group of funk artists became very popular. Glenn Goins was an amazing singer with a powerful voice. He was best known for calling in the mothership during P-Funk concerts.
Do you believe that the mothership's coming? Yeah.
This was a big part of their live performances. His voice was deep and strong, and it made the audience excited. He played a big role in Parliament's famous album, Mothership Connection. He also sang on Funkadelic's albums during this time. He led songs like Bop Gun, Endangered Species, and Fantasy is Reality. His voice gave these songs a special sound that fans loved. Even though Goins was a great performer, he left Parliament-Funkadelic in 1977. He was one of the first musicians to leave because of problems with George Clinton's management. Many band members felt they were not getting paid fairly. In 1978, Goins started his own funk band called Quasar. His younger brother, Kevin Goins, and drummer Jerome Bigfoot Braley played in the band. Sadly, Glenn Goins did not get to enjoy his new band for long. In 1978, he died from Hodgkin's lymphoma. He was only 24 years old. His death was a big loss to the world of funk music. Billy Bass Nelson was another important musician in Parliament-Funkadelic. He played the bass guitar and was a key part of Funkadelic in the early years. Nelson first met George Clinton as a teenager when he worked at Clinton's barbershop. He cleaned the shop and entertained customers by singing and dancing. When Clinton formed a band, Nelson was one of the first members. He even came up with the name Funkadelic, combining funk music with psychedelic rock. By 1970, Funkadelic had become a full band. It included Nelson, guitarist Eddie Hazel, drummer Tiki Fullwood, guitarist Tall Ross, and keyboardist Mickey Atkins. Atkins later left and was replaced by Bernie Worrell. At first, Funkadelic played as the backing band for Clinton's vocal group, the Parliaments. But like I said earlier, they had to stop using the name The Parliaments. He signed the entire band to Westbound Records under the name Funkadelic instead. Nelson played a big role in Funkadelic's early albums.
But of course at the time I was an arrogant Funkadelic and didn't care about doing no studio work.
He helped shape the band's unique sound. He was an important part of their first 3 albums, Funkadelic Free Your Mind, and Your Ass Will Follow, 1970, and Maggot Brain. His bass lines gave these albums a deep, groovy rhythm, but in late 1971, Nelson left the band after a money dispute with George Clinton. He was the first member to leave for this reason. Many others would later have the same problem with Clinton's management. After leaving Funkadelic, Nelson and Eddie Hazel played with the Temptations for a while. In 1975, Nelson briefly returned to Funkadelic. He played on Better by the Pound from the album Let's Take It to the Stage. He later played with famous artists like the Commodores, Chairman of the Board, Fishbone, Jermaine Jackson, Lionel Richie, Smokey Robinson, and Lenny Williams. In the 1990s, Nelson became more recognized as a funk legend. Many bass players, including John Norwood Fisher of Fishbone and Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, named him as an influence. His early work with Funkadelic was also sampled a lot in hip-hop music. In 1994, Nelson formed a band with other P-Funk members. They released an album called Out of the Dark under the name OG Funk. Since then, Nelson has continued to perform with different P-Funk groups. He has toured with Parliament-Funkadelic and played with side projects like the 420 Funk Mob and Sons of Funk. In 1970, the band Parliament released an album called Osmium under Invictus Records. Later, the album was re-released under different names, Rhenium and First Thangs. The music on this album sounded more like the Funkadelic style of the time, with a mix of rock and soul. One song from the album, The Breakdown, became popular and reached number 30 on the R&B chart in 1971. When Clinton brought back the name Parliament, they released an album called Up for the Downstroke. This album did well, and the next one, Chocolate City, in 1975, was also a hit. Both albums became popular on the R&B charts and had some success on the pop charts. But it was the 1975 album Mothership Connection that made Parliament truly famous. This album introduced the P-Funk style and created a fun and wild story in the lyrics. The album had a space theme, with Clinton playing the role of a funky alien leader. Parliament continued to release more successful albums. In 1976, they put out The Clones of Dr. Funkenstein.
Dr. Funkenstein here, the disco fiend with the monster sounds.
In 1977, they released Funkadelic versus the Placebo Syndrome. And in 1978, they came out with Motor Booty Affair. These albums sold well and became hits on both the R&B and pop charts. Parliament also had big hit songs, including Flashlight in 1977, and Aqua Boogie in 1978. During this time, Funkadelic was also making great music, and the two groups became very popular. Their albums Glory Holla Stupid and Trombipulation did not do as well as their earlier records. In the early 1980s, things became even harder for Parliament and Funkadelic. There were legal problems because Clinton had used many different names for different music projects. Casablanca Records, their record company, also had changes that made things difficult. Because of all these issues, Clinton decided to end Parliament and Funkadelic as official groups. But many musicians from the bands kept working with him. Clinton continued making music under his own name, and with a new group called the P-Funk All-Stars. They toured and performed Parliament's old songs. In January 2018, Parliament made a big return. They released a song called I'm Gon' Make You Sick O' Me, featuring rapper Scarface.
I'm gonna make you sick. I'm gonna make you sick of me.
This was their first new song in 38 years. Later, they released a full album called Medicaid Fraud Dog on May 22, 2018. Clinton wrote most of the songs with his son, Tracy Lewis. Famous musicians like Fred Wesley and Alfred Pee Wee Ellis, who had worked with James Brown, also played on the album. Parliament had returned, bringing their funky style back to life. Maggot Brain was a famous album by the band Funkadelic. The album came out in 1971 and became one of the most talked about records of its time. Many people loved it because of its unique sound, deep meaning, and powerful guitar playing. The album's title had different meanings. Some people said that Maggot Brain was the nickname of the band's guitarist, Eddie Hazel. Others believed the name came from a sad event in the life of the band's leader, George Clinton. They said he found his brother's dead body in an apartment, which deeply affected him. The album cover was also very shocking. It showed the head of a black woman coming out of the ground, her mouth wide open as if she was screaming. The picture was taken by photographer Joel Brodsky, and the woman in the photo was a model named Barbara Cheeseborough. The inside of the album had writings from a group called the Process Church of the Final Judgment. Some people believed this group was connected to bad things, like the Manson family. Because of this, some thought Funkadelic was a dark and scary band, worshipping death and destruction. When the album came out, it was not a big success at first. It did not sell many copies, and it did not make it onto music charts in the United Kingdom. However, in the United States, it did reach number 108 on the Billboard 200 and was in the top 20 on the R&B album charts. Some music critics did not like it. A writer from Rolling Stone magazine said the album was depressing and did not have much to offer. He called the second half of the album boring. Another critic, Robert Christgau, had mixed feelings about it. He liked the title song but thought the rest of the album was strange and weird. Over time, people's opinions about the album changed. Many later reviews called it one of the best and most intense albums ever made. Critics started to see Funkadelic as a band that brought something new to music. Some said the album had a deep and dark feeling that reflected the troubles of America in the 1970s. Others thought it was a masterpiece that combined funk and rock in a way that no other band had done before. Even though it was not a huge hit at the time, it later became one of the most respected albums in rock and funk music. Many musicians and fans started to see it as an important record in history. Years later, the album was released again in 2005 with 3 extra songs. One of the bonus songs was a different version of Maggot Brain that included more of the full band. Some fans were excited about this because they wanted to hear a new version of the classic song. Maggot Brain influenced many artists over the years. Vernon Reid from the band Living Colour called it a great rock record. Michael Melchiondo from the band Ween said the album changed his life. He loved how different it sounded from anything else he had heard before. Many other musicians, including the Mars Volta, Angel Bat Dawid, and Andre 3000 from Outkast said that the album inspired them. Even some rappers used samples from the album in their own music. The song Can You Get to That was used in a hit song by the band Sleigh Bells. Rapper Redman copied the album cover for his own album. Over time, Maggot Brain became one of the most respected albums in music history. In 2003, Rolling Stone magazine put it on their list of the 500 greatest albums of all time. Over the years, the ranking got higher, showing that more people were starting to appreciate the album. Many music experts agreed that it was one of the best funk rock albums ever made. It was also included in a book about the 1001 albums everyone should listen to before they die. The album's impact on music is still felt today. Many modern artists continue to take inspiration from its unique sound and deep message. Some call it one of the best albums ever created, and it remains an important part of rock and funk history.